Release of Citizen Kane, the picture on which RKO hopes are riding. Critical reception overwhelming. Then, the dying fall.
In spite of the reviews, Kane played in only one cinema chain in America, and for only a few months. Then it was withdrawn and retired to the vaults. The first rumblings of potential disaster had been heard even before the picture was completed.
Despite the secrecy, word leaks out that Kane's character bears a striking resemblance to real-life press baron William Randolph Hearst, one of the richest and most powerful men in America.
Who will be the next president of the United States? I am asking you, who will be the next president?
The intention seems unmistakable.
And when we finally did see the picture, Orson was told by somebody in the audience, I forgot who it was, but that's Hearst. And he said, no, it's not. It's an imaginary character that I've dreamed up. But it wasn't. It was definitely Hearst, no question about that.
Wells never admitted the connection for years afterwards, but it's clear from the start that Mankiewicz had based the figure of Kane on Hearst. Like Kane, Hearst was a multimillionaire, a powerful voice in politics who never achieved the high office he hoped for, and a baron of the yellow press. This major Hearst newspaper was called The Examiner, Kane's The Inquirer. Citizen Kane uses real-life anecdote and direct quotations from the life of Hearst. Here's the most famous one.
Girls delightful in Cuba, stop. Could send you prose poems about scenery, but don't feel right spending your money. Stop. There is no war in Cuba. Signed, Wheeler. Any answer?
Yes, dear Wheeler, you provide the prose poems. I'll provide the war.
Hearst was notorious for his sensational headlines and his loudly trumpeted social concerns. This is Hearst's Declaration of Principles, printed in the New York Times, 1935.
What are you going to do, Charlie? Declaration of Principles. Don't smile, Jedediah. Got it all written out. Declaration of Principles.
Most dangerous of all were Kane's borrowings from Hearst's extraordinary private life. Look first at the description of Citizen Kane's fictional palace, Xanadu, from the March of Time sequence.
Here on the deserts of the Gulf Coast, a private mountain was commissioned and successfully built. 100,000 trees, 20,000 tons of marble are the ingredients of Xanadu's mountain. Contents of Xanadu's palace. Paintings, pictures, statues, the very stones of many another palace. A collection of everything, so big it can never be catalogued or appraised. Enough for 10 museums, the loot of the world. Xanadu's livestock, the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, the beast of the field and jungle, 2 of each, the biggest private zoo since Noah.
And now look at these shots. This is a home movie made at William Randolph Hearst's real-life palace, San Simeon, 8 years before Kane. Marion Davis, the actress, was to Hearst what the singer Susan Alexander was to Kane, except that Hearst had found himself a devoted lifelong companion, a woman admired by everyone for her talent and her intelligence.
I thought we were very unfair to Marion Davis because we had somebody very different in the place of Marion Davis, and it seemed to me to be something of a dirty trick, and does still strike me as being something of a dirty trick, what we did to her. And I anticipated the trouble from Hearst for that reason.
It was the powerful Hearst columnist Luella Parsons, maker and breaker of Hollywood reputations, who first suspected that Kane was a thinly disguised exposé of her boss. She demanded a private screening.
I ran the picture with Luella. This was quite an experience. Bob Wise and myself, Luella and her chauffeur were the audience for a running. And she left sometime toward the latter part of the picture in high dudgeon. And I remember the chauffeur stayed. And at the end of it, he said, "Very good picture." She was outraged, just absolutely outraged. And of course, the result was all sorts of things.
Telephone messages from Miss Parsons to RKO boss George Schaefer, still in the RKO archives, taken by switchboard operator Yvonne. 5:40 p.m. Luella Parsons called. She's asking for Mr. Schaefer's home number. Says it's a matter of life or death to RKO. 6 o'clock p.m. Miss Parsons called again. Said she would wait only 5 minutes for you to return her call. Says RKO is going to have, quote, the most beautiful lawsuit in history if it releases Citizen Kane.
I had to get on a plane to go back to New York at RKO's command to show the film at a projection room at the music hall. Show the film to the top executives of all the picture companies, not the vice presidents in charge of production on the coast, but the Kents and the Skouras, the people who were the presidents and chairman of the board of all the major companies. To show it to them and their lawyers. And the whole purpose of this was for them to determine, after seeing the film, these industry leaders, whether they would say to RKO, go ahead and release it, or RKO, in the interest of our business, for the well-being of our business, put it on the shelf, don't release it.
Hearst newspapers imposed a countrywide ban. Kane was not to be advertised nor even mentioned in any Hearst journal.
The major cinema chains run scared, refuse to take the picture. Disaster at the box office. And worse, recriminations, strange allegations of revenge.
Hearst, you see, launched such an attack on us, particularly on me, or his minions did. It was kind of, can no man rid me of this, and so on. And I was once, well, this will get terribly long and anecdotal, but I'll try to tell it very quickly. I was lecturing in Buffalo. And after the lecture, I was with some people having dinner, and a waiter said, there's a policeman wants to see you. And I turned white. I always feel guilty when policemen want to see me. And the cop turned out to be very nice. He said, don't go back to your hotel room. I said, why? He said, they've got an underage girl, undressed, and photographers waiting for you. It's a setup. So I didn't go back to my room that night. I just stayed up, took the plane in the morning. But that was as far as they were prepared to go. I would have gone to jail, of course. And they had the producers in Hollywood ready all together to pay RKO to burn the negative. It was nip and tuck, you know. Whether the negative would be burnt, the picture never shown.
Herman Mankiewicz's crime was regarded as even greater. He'd been a regular guest at William Randolph Hearst's lavish parties at his castle, San Simeon. Shortly after the Kane-Hearst connection had leaked out, Mankiewicz was involved in a minor automobile accident. He scraped the side of another car, being driven by Mrs. Ira Gershwin.
And the police made a routine report on it. And everybody went home. And then I guess about a week or two later, some Hearst reporter saw the report on the police blotter in Beverly Hills. And so great was Hearst's power that they forced a felony charge. And suddenly my father found himself charged with felony drunk driving, and the police said that he was abusive at the scene, and you know.
So the word really had gone out from Hearst to get Mankiewicz.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, Hearst, very vindictive man.
The picture was about William Randolph Hearst, but the picture was also about Orson. And a great deal of stuff in that picture was taken not only from Hearst's life, but from Orson's childhood, from Orson's life, and certain characteristics of Kane were characteristics of Orson rather than William Randolph Hearst. I mean, the great scene where he demolishes her dressing room was definitely inspired by the great final scene of separation between Orson and me when he threw 4 flaming dishwarmers at me. The same kind of wanton and insane destruction at the loss of something that he really felt very strongly about was used there, and that was true in many instances.